Welcome to Outlier on Air with Ever Gonzalez, the show where we interview the founders, disruptors, and mavens of the world. Learn how grit, failure, and success are all a part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Outlier on Air, the podcast where we interview founders, disruptors, and mavens. As always, I am your host, Ever Gonzalez. Today we're joined by a man who certainly needs no introduction to the Outlier listeners. Chris-brogan is on the show today. He is the world's leading authority on owning the game you most want to win. He is CEO of Owner Media Group, a sought-after public speaker, and a New York Times best-selling author of 8 books and counting. Chris, welcome to the show.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, Ever.
Great, thanks. We appreciate you taking the time. Now let's get right into this. You are a best-selling author. You've consulted large Fortune 500 companies, have a huge tribe, have thousands of email subscribers, tons of followers on social media. Why do a show like this, Outlier on Air, a smaller podcast where certainly you don't need more exposure, you don't need more books sold. Why take the time to do something like this? I have a theory, by the way, but go ahead.
Of course I need the exposure. Of course I need to reach good people. Outliers are wonderful people. I wrote a book most recently called The Freaks Shall Inherit the Earth.
Absolutely.
And it's all about, misfits, world dominators, and people like outliers. So my whole plan is, how do I help people get smarter? How do I help people do good stuff? How do I help people figure out what they're going to do to own the game that they most want to win? And I think that the other point to make is that everyone's a starter at some point. Do you know what I mean? Everyone starts somewhere. I wasn't all that especially fancy anytime in the most recent time. So I could just tell you that it's a whole deal. It's to me, it's a situation where the more times I can connect with people that are listening and trying to figure out what's going to make it click for them, then maybe I can help that person who hasn't heard the right guest yet.
I love it. I like your whole, you're building this media empire, and I'm a subscriber to your emails. And when I get your emails Sunday morning, I read them Sunday morning. I enjoy it. It feels like a buddy, like we've known each other for a long time. Because even though you are trying to sell stuff every once in a while, you are trying to get us to do a few different things. It doesn't feel corporate-y. It doesn't feel spammy. It doesn't feel sleazy. It's just a good email with great content. Where did you find your voice? Did you always have it like this, or is it a work in progress? Because it doesn't feel like, somebody that I don't want anything to do with. It feels like, hey, I'm looking forward to your emails every single Sunday.
Well, first, thank you. I appreciate that. And the easiest way, I guess, to explain it all is that I've always just talked to people the way I kind of hoped they would talk to me, and the way I'd hoped they'd talk to my mom. The way I started making my business a bunch of years ago, and the reason a lot of really big companies better, and if you get that handled, then you'd probably be a better company all the way around. And so I think that, first off, I'm always trying to sell something. I am always selling something. I mean, that's business. That's what we do in business. But what I consider a sale is a transaction of value. So what I'm trying to do is add value to people. And so if there's something I do that doesn't cost you any money out of your pocket, it still costs you time. So I'm always looking for, how do I make a value exchange that gives you something that's going to help you move your game forward. I like to think of myself as an entry gateway drug dealer. I give you a really easy drug that gets you started, and then you come back going, hey, give me something more, because I give 90% of what I do away for free, and then the 10% I charge. And you think to yourself, man, if this free stuff is so good, what is he hiding behind that pay? And that's where it gets all exciting, because that's where I really help.
And I noticed that there are a lot of great people that are having, that are putting out great content for free, but they struggle with that part of it. They don't want to either offend their audience. They don't want to kind of alienate anybody that's following them by asking them for something, whether it's for them to buy their book or their consulting services. You seem to do it so naturally. What kind of advice do you have to those that, they have followers, but just kind of are a little gun shy about asking for the get, basically?
Well, here's a few things you have to think about. One is, if you don't believe in all your heart and soul that the thing that you're offering is the right thing, then it's going to be hard for you ever to ask for the sale. Like people, it's the strangest thing. As a marketer and a learner and a person of, trying to figure out stuff, I'll go to places like I don't know, ClickBank, or I'll go to Kindle store, and I'll start looking around for like, how to do lead generation and stuff. And I'll find that people buy, I don't know where they sell this stuff, but you could buy, like, someone else writes an ebook for you, I guess, and you just copy paste the content and stick a new cover on it. So I've accidentally bought the same book 4 times.
Oh,
right?
Really? Nice.
Yeah, different authors, different names, and it's all the same crap once you get past like page 3. Not even lying. And I'm thinking, if you're selling something like that, no matter what it is, if you're selling something that doesn't work, or you're the Hyundai dealer and you're trying to convince people it's just as good as a Mercedes, then you're not going to do so well. But if you're the Hyundai dealer that says, look, not everyone needs a Mercedes, not everyone wants a Mercedes, I have got the right car for you, and I think this car, I think it stacks up against a Mercedes. I believe that. I have one myself. I drive it. My mom and dad drive one. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to believe all the way to your belly button that you're adding something to that person's life. If you do, then you are a bad person if you don't ask for the sale, because that sale is saying, I am here to give something to help somebody else. And, to me, that's what good business is, being helpful. Where everyone does it wrong, if they do it wrong, it's when they're worried that they got to make rent. And they're like, oh my God, I got to go hustle. I got to go make rent. Got to pay the bills. When you sell from that perspective, you're never helping anybody. You're just trying really hard to get that check covered. And that'll fall back on you in so many painful ways. And people who have experienced it, I hope, are already nodding their head in your audience ever. But I can tell you that it's, the pain is real. So just try really to sell from love, and you're going to always do a better deal, and you're always going to keep earning that right to write to you, which is why you don't mind getting my mail in your inbox, because I'm going to send you something that's useful.
Absolutely. So you're adding value. It's easier to sell that than anything else, right? It's something you don't believe in. I like that quite a bit. Now, you kind of, one of your emails back a couple months ago was titled something like Building Your Own Media Empire. And all the Outlier listeners that are on this show listening to you right now, we're all trying to build our own little empire, whether it's in media and sales, consulting, gadgets, whatever it is. What's the biggest mistake that you're seeing Outliers make as they try to build their own little empire in their own little part of the world?
I think that a lot of times it comes from that same place where I just said about not believing in sales. You do something because you think you want to corner some niche market, but that you don't have any real connection. You've got just a big, you've got an intention. Like, I've had people try to sell. It's really fun to hear what people want to sell me all the time ever. So somebody would come to me and say, hey, you can make 6 figures with my new awesome process. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I already make 6 figures. Do you? Dead air.
Yeah. That's funny.
So I always wonder how someone thinks they're going to teach me how to do it if they haven't done it through the same program. And I think that the same mistake is true with people's content and the media that they make. They'll go writing about how awesome certain yachts are, and they've never even been on a yacht. They've never even been out of they haven't even been in a rowboat. So I think you just really have to kind of live from where you are. And the other part of it, and this to me, I think is the ultimate of the secret sauce. People want to know that you're just like them. People want to see you connect with them. I mean, when the people we admire biggest in life, if we, back in the day were a big Michael Jordan fan, we wanted to hear what cereal he ate, because at least we had that. We knew we couldn't dunk, but, maybe we ate the same cereal he did.
Nice. So what with that being said, what's, the old adage, fake it till you make it. How do you feel about that?
I hate it. I always say don't fake it till you make it. Believe until the world catches up to where you are.
I like that quite a bit.
So I think that, when we say fake it, I mean, it's not that you should be like, yeah, I'm dirt poor, I'm living in my mom's basement. But you know what? A lot of the most successful people in the world were dirt poor and living in their mom's basement. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Tony Robbins went from that to, Tony Robbins had me to his house a bunch of years ago to do this video thing called Internet Money Masters. And when I showed up, it's kind of hard not to be wowed. I mean, the house, this particular of his houses was like off a golf course in like this private community. There were a crap load of Range Rovers just laying around in the yard. And I was like, wow, I guess you like Range Rovers? He goes, no, that's the staff's cars. They all just drive those.
Oh, nice.
He's got a Bentley or something. You know what I mean? So that's, he had so much wealth, but he talks all the time about what it was like to be 17 and having no money and having to wear the same clothes to school for a week and whatever. And, I've been there. I mean, I've been to the spot where I'd go to the ATM after landing someplace to go to a conference, and I'd be like, I'll just get some money for the cab. And I would like try to get $60 or something. And I'd be like, nope. And then you play ATM bingo. Like, okay, how about $40? No. 20? No. Does this thing give out fives? And then, I've been in that spot where I've landed at JFK and ended up having to shift through my bags and, find $6 to get on a train. And all I kept thinking was, man, I hope they have some good food at the conference, because if not, I'm going to be eating toothpaste in my bedroom. So from that to, I just got off the phone right before you with someone putting me up at the Four Seasons for this conference I'm doing and flying me in first class. So, entrepreneurship and a lot of our journey is a lot like a saw blade. Sometimes you have no money, sometimes you got plenty of money. And the trick about fake it till you make it, instead, just be really good about where you are. And I think people will kind of really connect with that the most.
I like that quite a bit. So go out there, be authentic, tell people who you are, what you're doing, and then what did you say? Have them until they catch up. They catch up to your vision.
Yeah, don't fake it till you make it. Just believe until the world catches up to you. I mean, sometimes people don't see it the way you do just because they're not ready yet. It's so foreign to where they are. But believe me, eventually, if your vision's worth it, you're good. So
have you made it? What's your definition of making it, of being successful?
Wow, that's a really good question. Successful. Oh, so that's two different things. So have I made it? Sure, a bunch of times. But I can tell you that success for me means being able to say no to the things that I want to say no to. I can tell you that, there's days that it feels like I made it. I mean, I keynoted this conference where a guy like Steve Harvey introduces me, and I'm like, I feel like this should be the other way around. Very nice. I was on the Dr. Phil show. A woman whose grandfather founded a country and whose father is worth more than 20 Bill Gates flew me to her country to speak to a bunch of people alongside the founder of Reddit and one of the founders of Twitter. So that felt like a day like I made it. But, all those things, right? Like, the Dr. Phil show, for instance, I mean, you don't make any money for that. You just show up, you say hi to some people, you talk to Phil a little bit, and you leave. Nothing goes in your pocket. Like, no one's sitting there at the edge of the stage going, here's your bag of money. So make it for me, I don't know. I feel like I'm at this level in my life where my ambitions are still being met. I'm still finding ways to accomplish new goals. And I think that's really the frame I look at, is just that, because I'll tell you who fails the most in life ever. It's the person who takes their foot off the gas once they think they, quote, made it. That's who fails. That's who goes bankrupt like the next year.
That was going to be my next question. So are you slowing down? Are you kind of at a place where you're comfortable? It sounds like you're still kind of out there pushing it. You're writing every single day. I mean, that can be easy.
No, I don't think you can slow down. I don't think there's any great time to slow down. I think that the most successful people that I believe in are still pushing hard every day. Richard Branson has over 400 companies. That man is moving faster than a speeding bullet. He never sits around going, yep, guess I'll just take a vacation day. He works hard, he plays hard. He when he's with his family, he's very with his family. But and that's, by the way, another great definition of success is that you don't have to worry about the phone ringing when you're, giving your kids a hug. I think that's a good place to start putting that measure. But I would say that the people that I most admire, I mean, Warren Buffett, went the whole way. He worked all the way up until the end. And I think that we should probably, take some lesson from that, because those visions of people sitting around on a beach somewhere with the palm trees and stuff like that, I mean, those are great places to vacation. You would lose your mind if you're the kind of person who's working for that goal.
I agree. So what's your biggest challenge right now then?
I'd say my challenge right now, more than anything, is just really getting people to realize, the story that I'm trying to tell. I think it's everybody's challenge, really. I mean, people mistake me and think I'm some social media guy, or they think, he's that blogger or that guy from Twitter. And I've been doing the same thing for a long time, which is professional development and leadership type stuff. And I just use these tools as a means to reach people. And so sometimes people will come to me and say, oh, well, I'm not at this or I'm not at that. And I'm like, you most certainly are the person that I'm talking to in this case. And so with all marketing and sales efforts, we're always just trying to make sure people realize that I've got something that would help them and that it might be worth their time and their investment.
So the entire Chris Brogan brand, you have Owner Media, you have your personal website, your newsletter, like you've discussed your own empire. What do you mind talking about revenue? What kind of revenue are you doing with all of these combined? 2014. What does 2015 look like? To give us an idea of how hard you're working and the different things that are coming. And I know you've discussed success being, not just dollar amounts or not just money in the bank, but overall revenue wise. Is that something you can talk about?
Oh, sure. I mean, since Let me think. So since like 2008 or something like that, my revenue has always gone up and down. I probably like, around 2002, 2008, sorry, 2009, I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I topped 200 or so thousand bucks. And then 2010 was one of my first years. Well, company revenue, by the way, not the money I take home to myself.
Sure.
We always just flirt just underneath $1 million. So like we'll get like 900 and something thousand, 989,000, 971 or something like that. So we've gone up and down. We had a couple, like 2013 was a crappy year. It was like, 500,000. And that sounds like, there's somebody on this call just went, I would like to make 500,000 a year. But that's in your mind, you're thinking that goes directly to your bank and just you. But I have employees and I have people and I have stuff. So I've lost, in 2010, I lost $400,000 in investments that didn't go anywhere, in investing in some plans and some software and some ideas. And that sounds like I had tons of money and I was being speculative, but that was like, oh crap, I better work because I would like to eat supper tonight. And so this last year, 2014, I mean, we finished up higher than we did 2013, but my goals are I want to just beat that 1 million number. So I think I'd like to hit 1.2 million this year. And then I want to see if I could double it the next year again.
Very nice.
But that's tricky. Like when someone says, what's $1 million a year? It's 84,000 a month, which is 22,000 a week. And I know that I haven't made 22,000 a week every single week the last bunch of weeks. So I'm going to have some catch up to do. So, it's really important that when people think about their goals, especially thinking about revenue goals and all that, you've got to really think through how much do I really need, because that impacts how you're going to go after it. What kinds of projects are going to get me there? And then, just what's your quality of life going to be like? So if you find yourself, working 90 hours a week and you're just barely topping that revenue, then was it really worth it?
So, yeah, it just depends on who you are, right? And it sounds like family time to you, having alone time, having the ability to say no is more important to you than, hitting the $2 million, $5 million, $10 million mark. So going back to being successful, it sounds like you're very successful. Two last questions, if you don't mind. What's the end game for you personally?
I don't, I'm not that smart to have an end game ever. I really, don't. I mean, I guess my big hope is that I finally get that one idea that lets a company just kind of run along and I can sort of drive vision. Like I am the hardest working guy in my company. I'm the one doing, if I die, the whole company folds up. And what I'm trying to think is, can I make a company that would live on past me? And that's probably I can't really talk about this next iteration of my career, but I'm trying to build a product that would be, the kind of thing people could sell without me being the face of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. When can we look forward to that?
Well, if I say it, then I'll probably be wrong, but I could say probably towards the end of the year or something.
Very nice. We're looking forward to it. So one of your books, The Freaks Shall Inherit the Earth, Entrepreneurship for Weirdos, Misfits, and World Dominators. What's a freak, and do you consider yourself one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I couldn't write a book about it if I didn't get it, but freak is somebody who has like an almost tattoo level obsession with doing the kind of business that they want to do with the people that they want, and doing it sort of the way that they most want to do it. So it's, Tony Hawk was a freak, is a freak. Mark Echo is definitely a freak. Kate White, who ran Cosmopolitan, definitely did it her own way.
Hello?
Wow, just lost your signal there again.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, lost you there. Right after Tony Hawk.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Tony Hawk is a freak. He's, he certainly plotted his own course in life and did it his way. Mark Echo, Kate White, who ran the Cosmopolitan for a while, is a freak. My friend R.J. Diaz, who is a architect and construction kind of a guy, who ended up deciding to do a fashion brand as well called Industry Portage. So those are the kinds of people I think are freaks. But, it's funny who's identified as one. Mitch Jackson, who is California's #1 trial attorney, says he's a proud freak. And Mel Abraham is a freak. And Rod Burkett, they're both CPAs. They're accountants, and they consider themselves freaks. So it's not, people with tattoos all over their face, and it's not people with, blue hair and eye piercings or whatever. But, it's people who just, it's the people who are tired of trying to fit in, and they'd rather just find where they belong. And that's really the biggest issue.
So it's not somebody that's kind of out there just doing their own thing for the most part. I mean, you could be a freak working a 9 to 5 at a Fortune 500 company.
I definitely think you can be. I mean, I've met a bunch of those. I mean, when I wrote with Julian Smith, we wrote the book Trust Agents in '09. We were talking about this whole new thing about, personal brands and how people were inside of big companies and how they were becoming the people that we knew. So at Google, it was this guy, Matt Cutts, and he's the spam czar. And so even though there was a Sergey and a Larry and at the time an Eric Schwartz, they weren't who I thought of as Google. It was Matt, because I could talk to him. And Morgan Johnston at JetBlue, and all these people who are like really interesting cats inside of big companies. But it's because those people choose to be the CEO of their desk. It's because they choose to own their perspective on their life and their work. So you can definitely have a day job and be a freak. And you can even be what my friend James calls an employeepreneur, which I wrote the book about as well. The whole freaks concept doesn't require that you set off on your own and try to sell, I don't know, life insurance or whatever people try to do these days.
Very nice. Hey, Chris, we appreciate your time. You've been very generous with it. Like I said, the outliers that listen to this podcast know exactly who you are. We all follow you. We appreciate you kind of giving us these words of wisdom. We appreciate it. We wish you much success in the coming year, and we will definitely be in touch. I like the fact that I just kind of emailed you out of the blue saying, "Hey, would love to have you on the podcast." And to be quite honest, even though I know people that know you, that say that you're the real deal, that you are who you say you are, one of the nicest guys out there. I really wasn't expecting a response, and when I got it, I was thrilled. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We will definitely be in touch.
You're the Ever Gonzalez. I mean, there's not a lot of time that I'm going to get this kind of an opportunity. So I'm really grateful. Thank you for letting me hang out with the Outliers today.
Perfect. Anytime. Chris, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're a good man. Thank you.